The numbers are in, and they are staggering, to say the least. Last year alone, homelessness surged by 12%, the highest increase since we started keeping records in 2007. It's heartbreaking. The situation is made worse by the relentless rise in rents, pushing more families and individuals into precarious living situations. The pandemic offered some protections, eviction moratoriums and rent subsidies, but now those are gone. The situation has become critical. Over 8 million Americans are behind on rent. Think about that, 8 million. And 2.3 million hardworking people saw their rent jump by more than $500. It's a disgrace if we are being honest. When you talk to real people out there, they're furious. The economy is a mess, prices are higher than ever, and the job market is crazier than I've ever seen. We're facing a major crisis, one that's shaking the very core of our beautiful country. Two things are absolutely destroying America right now: record homelessness and record rents. It's unbelievable. But there's another layer to this crisis. A wave of new migrants, many seeking refuge and a fresh start, now find themselves caught in this housing instability. In states like New York, homelessness among Hispanic populations is increasing significantly, revealing a stark and troubling trend. This isn't just about numbers, it's about real lives being disrupted, real dreams being deferred. Now let's talk about the second thing, something that's been bothering me, and I bet it's been bothering many of you too. We're witnessing a massive problem unfolding right before our eyes. Since 2020, the cost of living has been skyrocketing out of control. Right here in the land of the free, it's becoming nearly impossible for the average person to get by. Let me illustrate this with an example. Did you know that in New York City, the average rents have reached a record high of $5,600 per month?
Manhattan rents have hit a record high. The average monthly rent in July was $5,888.
And it's not just New York. Places like Arizona, Ohio, Texas, and Tennessee, places we thought were safe from these crazy prices, are also seeing rents go through the roof. This is a disaster for our middle class, the backbone of America. And what's the government doing? It feels like they're doing nothing. Sometimes it almost seems like they want this to happen. Think about it. Half of our fellow Americans are spending 30% to 50% of their hard-earned money just to keep a roof over their heads. That leaves very little for other essentials like gas, groceries, or unexpected emergencies or medical bills. You might wonder, why isn't anyone doing something about it? It's not for a lack of solutions, let me tell you. The real issue is they don't want you to know about those solutions. Our leaders, the ones who should be looking out for us, seem to be turning a blind eye. Maybe they're too busy with their own agendas, or maybe they're just out of touch with what's happening on the ground. Whatever the reason, it's clear that something needs to change, and fast. So what's behind this mess? It's a potent mix of skyrocketing rents, rising addictions, and a burgeoning mental health crisis. Our cities like New York are overwhelmed by an asylum crisis that's ballooning shelter populations to breaking points. Just think about it. New York City alone shelters around 123,000 people, 64,000 of whom are asylum seekers. This issue isn't confined to big cities. Take Eastern Washington State, for example. Once known for its affordability, it's now emblematic of a nationwide housing crunch. Even there, residents find themselves priced out, unable to buy homes, and choked by rising rents. Let me tell you about Maria, a mother of 3 in New York. She came here seeking asylum, hoping for a better life for her children. Instead, she found herself in an overcrowded shelter, struggling to make ends meet. Every day is a challenge, but she keeps going because she dreams of a brighter future for her kids. So what's driving this disaster? It's a complex web of economic pressures, policy failures, and systemic neglect. We can't just watch as the foundation of our community crumbles. It's time for real action and real solutions. First, we need to control rents. Too many people are being priced out of their homes. Policies that cap rent increases can provide immediate relief and stability. Second, we must increase affordable housing. Building more affordable units and converting unused buildings into homes can help address the shortage. Programs like community land trusts can create permanently affordable housing options. Third, We need better support for mental health and addiction recovery. These issues are often at the root of homelessness, and addressing them can help people get back on their feet. Providing accessible and comprehensive services can make a huge difference. Lastly, we need a fair asylum system that doesn't overwhelm our resources. Ensuring that those seeking refuge are supported without putting undue strain on our cities is crucial. This means better coordination and support at the federal level to manage the influx effectively. We are at a crossroads, my friends. This is about more than just numbers. It's about our values and our vision for the future of this great country. We will step up and help our neighbors, or will we walk by indifferent? One powerful way to make a difference is through local action. Get involved with community organizations that support affordable housing and homelessness prevention. Volunteer your time, donate resources, and advocate for policies that address the root causes of this crisis. We can also use our voices to push for change at the local, state, and federal levels. Contact your elected officials and demand action on affordable housing, rent control, mental health services, and asylum support. Let them know that this issue matters to you and that you expect them to prioritize it. Housing prices have soared so high that many Americans can't afford to buy their first homes. Naturally, they turn to renting. But this increased demand drives rental prices up even further. Now, rents are more than 20% higher than they were at the start of 2020. It's a tough spot with no easy way out. The data is chilling. Fewer than half of Americans could handle a $1,000 emergency today. With rents climbing, every dollar squeezed puts more of our neighbors at risk of hitting rock bottom and facing homelessness. It's a national crisis that's brewing, yet it feels like it's being ignored or even allowed to happen by those in power. This isn't just an economic issue, it's a moral one. How did we get here, and why is this crisis only worsening? We need action. We need policies that not only stabilize the housing market, but also ensure that no American has to spend half their income just to have a roof over their head. Let's bring this closer to home by sharing something I've personally seen. Take my friend Lisa, for example. She's a single mom in New York, working 2 jobs just to keep up with her rent. Last month, her landlord raised the rent by $600. Now she's constantly worried about eviction and how she'll keep a roof over her kids' heads. She feels trapped, with no way out of this cycle. I genuinely feel bad for her and try to help her, but there's only so much difference one person can make in a situation that's affecting everyone. Then there's my best friend Michael, one of the most hardworking people I know. He thought he'd be able to buy a home by now, but with prices skyrocketing, he's stuck renting. His rent went up by 25% this year, and he's barely managing to keep up with the cost. The stress is affecting his work and mental health, but what choices does he have? It's heartbreaking to see people not realize their dreams because of the poor economic situation we have going on. We need a massive investment in affordable housing, rent control measures, and support for those who are already struggling. We can start by advocating for policies that cap rent increases and create more affordable housing options. This could include converting unused buildings into housing or incentivizing the construction of new affordable units. We also need better tenant protections to prevent unfair evictions and ensure that people have a stable place to live. Programs that offer rental assistance and support for mental health and addiction recovery can help those at risk of homelessness get back on their feet. I know a lot of people tend to blame all of this on the landlords, but even most of them aren't getting the best end of the deal. It might seem like landlords, who set these high prices, are the only winners in this situation, but that's not the full picture. While some landlords might be taking advantage of the situation, many are caught in their own set of challenges, such as rising property taxes, maintenance costs, and the risks associated with tenant turnover. It's a complex issue, and not all landlords are large corporations. Many are small property owners who are struggling themselves. The real issue here is systemic. We're dealing with an acute shortage of affordable housing, which drives up rent and reduces options. This isn't just about individual greed, it's about a market and a policy environment that fails to adequately address the needs of its citizens. It's crucial we address these issues at their root. We need more than just temporary fixes. We need a comprehensive plan that increases housing stock, regulates the rental market fairly, and protects both tenants and small property owners. Let's consider the story of a typical mom-and-pop landlord. These individuals often provide much of the low-income housing available, but they're facing increasing costs. Insurance, utilities, property taxes, all rising every single year. For many of these landlords, rental income is their way of making a living and feeding their families without a regular paycheck. As renters, when we see our lease renewal come in with a rent increase, our first reaction is frustration, but we seldom consider the other side of the equation. Not all landlords are rolling in wealth. Many are middle-class people struggling with the same economic pressures as everyone else. Take, for example, a landlord in Manhattan. Owning a building there might seem like a gold mine, but it comes with hefty responsibilities. Imagine heating 18 apartments through a New York winter, paying astronomical property taxes, and covering all utilities. These costs add up, and when fuel costs rise, as they have recently, these expenses only grow, necessitating rent increases to keep up. The bigger picture is that the housing market and policy environment are failing to meet the needs of both renters and landlords. We need to support both tenants and landlords with comprehensive policies. This means building more affordable housing and converting unused buildings to address the shortage. We should implement fair rent control to prevent excessive rent increases while allowing landlords to cover their costs. Small property owners struggling with rising expenses should receive financial help or tax relief. Additionally, we must strengthen tenant protections to prevent unfair evictions and ensure stable housing. The issue goes beyond individual cases. Simply vilifying landlords or lamenting rent increases doesn't capture the whole picture. We need comprehensive solutions that address the needs of both renters and small property owners. This means advocating for policies that stabilize housing costs, improve wage growth, and offer tax relief where needed. Let's take a trip to a place nearly every American visits regularly, the grocery store. It's here, among these aisles, where the impact of our economic challenges becomes unmistakably clear. People are genuinely frustrated and angry. When you talk shoppers, they'll tell you how much harder it has become to stretch their dollar. And it's not just about food. When grocery costs climb, families have less money for other essentials like rent. The squeeze on budget isn't just uncomfortable, it's unsustainable. Rising food prices don't just mean fewer luxuries. They directly contribute to more serious issues, like the rising homelessness we've discussed. Think of it like a game of Tetris. Families are constantly trying to make all the pieces fit. But lately, it seems like all the wrong pieces are coming too fast. Everything's going up. Rent, groceries, utilities, making it incredibly difficult to keep everything aligned. Most households operate on some sort of budget, and when key expenses like groceries jump, everything else has to be rearranged. It's about survival, about trying to balance an increasingly difficult financial equation. This isn't just a problem for policymakers to solve, it's a community challenge. It's about supporting local food banks, advocating for fair pricing, and understanding the economic cycles that affect us all. But it's also about demanding action where it can make a difference, like price controls, subsidies for essential goods, and stronger economic policies to boost purchasing power. The rising costs are not only affecting our groceries, but are also extending to nearly every aspect of our lives, especially when it comes to transportation and leisure activities. For example, I know this guy Jim. He owns a small restaurant in Chicago. He's seen his utility bills double, and the cost of ingredients has gone through the roof. To keep his business afloat, he's had to raise menu prices. Customers are frustrated, but Jim has no choice. If he doesn't adjust, he risks closing down. There's literally no sector or region that's immune. From coast to coast, industry to industry, it's a domino effect of financial pressures piling up. It's adding layer upon layer of strain on the middle class, many of whom are nearing their breaking point. Every aspect of our daily life is interconnected. A rise in one area can trigger a chain reaction that affects all others, tightening the financial vice on American families. Since 2020, the real gains for most Americans have barely kept up, increasing less than 1%. This means, at best, your income is just keeping pace with rising prices. At worst, it's falling behind, making every dollar stretch thinner and thinner. So, what can we do about it? We need to advocate for policies that stabilize essential costs and boost economic resilience. Here are some steps we can take. Support local initiatives by getting involved with local food banks and community programs that help those in need. Advocate for fair pricing by pushing for fair pricing practices and supporting regulations that prevent price gouging. Demand economic action by advocating for subsidies for essential goods and services, and for stronger economic policies that boost wages and purchasing power. And support small businesses by shopping locally and supporting small businesses facing rising operational costs. Not only are everyday prices higher, but borrowing money has become more expensive too, whether it's for a mortgage, a business loan, or even using a credit card. Interest rates are surging. This makes it one of the worst times to carry or take on new debt. Credit card debt, in particular, is a trap that many people fall into during tough times. But with today's high interest rates, even making minimum payments can quickly become overwhelming, dragging people deeper into financial distress. This is another crisis that isn't getting the attention it deserves. In America, when times get tough, the traditional response is to work harder and strive for better. Yet now, even that path is filled with obstacles. High costs, stagnant wages, and expensive debt aren't just economic terms. They're harsh realities hitting homes across our nation. It's becoming harder to simply work your way out of financial strain. But here's what we can do. We need to be more aware of how we manage our finances, avoid debt traps, and advocate for economic policies that truly address inflation and wage stagnation. It's about creating a sustainable economic environment where hard work pays off again. Next, let's dissect the current state of the U.S. job market. On paper, it appears robust. Employers added 2.7 million people to their payrolls in 2023, painting a picture of a strong and resilient labor market. However, the reality for many Americans tells a different story. While these numbers are encouraging, the job search experience for many is far from optimistic. Imagine applying to 30 jobs and receiving only 4 callbacks. These callbacks may not even align with the applicant's preferred positions. It's a daunting reality that highlights the challenges within our job market. According to some voices on the internet, some job seekers apply to hundreds, maybe even thousands of positions with little to no responses. There are concerns about outdated job listings, fake postings, or an imbalance in application distribution across different roles. Particularly tough are the odds for those seeking remote-only positions. With more people wanting the flexibility of working from home, the competition is fierce. Some speculate that this preference might even be hindering their chances. In New York, the state government alone has 10,000 open positions, mostly entry-level, that it struggles to fill, indicating a mismatch between available jobs and job seeker interests or qualifications. This isn't just a problem for job seekers, it's also a significant challenge for companies. A single job posting can attract thousands of views due to the internet's reach, overwhelming hiring managers with the volume of inquiries. Furthermore, job turnover is at an all-time low. Many companies are holding on to their employees longer, driving by past labor shortages and the economic uncertainty of recent years. In the tech sector, for example, the trend of overhiring, followed by mass layoffs, has made companies even more cautious about making new hires. This adds another layer of complexity to the already challenging job market. Is America really trying to eliminate its middle class? Are we ever going to help the middle class at some point? These are big questions. Remember, the massive inflation we experienced a few years ago? Store shelves were empty, popular products sold out, and it was difficult to buy cars and homes. The government, facing an overheating economy, chose to intervene by tightening interest rates, a classic move to cool down economic activity. Since the U.S. economy heavily relies on borrowed money, higher interest rates affect everything, from construction projects to corporate hiring strategies, and even the interest rates on your credit cards. Mortgage rates have skyrocketed, pushing the dream of home ownership out of reach for many, seemingly pulling the American dream further away from our grasp. These policy decisions aimed at controlling economic overheating now make everyday life more challenging for the average American. It feels like we're caught in a cycle directed by decisions at levels beyond our immediate control. This leads us to wonder about the future. These challenging economic times, shaped by the Federal Reserve's policies, won't last forever, but the timing of change is crucial, especially in an election year. The outcomes could significantly impact our economic landscape. So, what do you think is the right course of action to genuinely uplift America's middle class? How can we ensure that future policies not only stabilize the economy, but also provide tangible benefits to those who need them most? If you're interested in a deeper dive into the economic situation of our country, click the video on screen now to where we go in depth into the truth behind the looming U.S. housing crash.